This TS3, yes, TS3 is dealing with management in tourism, and this the first block or the first unit deals with the management concept and functions, entrepreneurship, corporate forms, and management issues in tourism. In the second block or the second unit, uh, we are familiarized with the different types of organizations and the role of planning, organizing, decision making, monitoring, and controlling. Block 3, uh, in this chapter, we deal with organizational behavior issues, and in block 4, operation management and marketing management. In the block number 5, it deals with the financial operations like understanding the profit loss statements, balance sheet, profitability analysis, and project formulations. The last three blocks in this course are devoted to managerial practice in tourism. Block number 6 deals with the tour operators, travel agencies, and hotels, along with an emphasis on public relations. Block number 7 includes the food service, which is a part of hotel management. Uh, Tourist transport, it is also dealing with the hotel management, airlines, and airports. In the last block, we have discussed a growing field in the area of tourism, that is planning, organizing of conventions. So now we will start with the chapter 1. The chapter 1 is, which is also known as unit 1. It deals with management concepts and functions. So the objective of this subject or this unit is understanding the management concepts, then know about the management labels and skills, learn about the role, tasks, and responsibility of the managers, and understand the management functions. Let us go for the management concept. The development of the concept and principles of management is relatively a modern phenomenon. However, this does not mean the management in something very recent. In fact, it deals with the management organizations. For example, even in hunting and gathering stage, people did follow a leader. So, how the leader of the team functions with his team, it mainly deals with that. Whether it was in the past experience, whether it was a city state. City states means it also goes with the history, a kingdom of, or a republic. The need and role of managers increased from that time. There is ample historical evidences in this regard. We find we find also there are many concepts where the managerial role is very effective. For example, there is one classical management school was of the view that with scientific forecasting and proper methods of management, satisfactory results are inevitable. Okay, so that means If there will be proper forecasting in the management, then satisfactory results that will come out from the management. In order to develop a science of management, Theol divided business operations into 6 activities. Number one, technical. Number two, commercial. Number three, financial. Number four, security. Number five, accounting. Number six, management. Further, he defined management in terms of functions like planning, organizing, coordinating, and controlling. So these are the 4 factors and 4 functions of the management. Now let us discuss what are the main processes. Management is a process because the interrelated activities, planning, leading organizations, and controlling are part of managers' management. Managers use all the organizational resources like finances, equipments, information, technology, and the staff or the people. Then each organization has its own stated goals, and management as a process helps in enhancing the attainment of these goals. Now let us understand what is management. What do we know by the management? Why management is essential? The first one is management is purposeful. This is because it deals with the achievement of something specific, expressed as an objective or goal. At the same time, the managerial success is measured by the extent of the achievement of the stated goals. Then management, the second one is management makes things happen because all the happenings are possible only for the management in the organization. This is because managers focus their attentions and efforts on bringing about successful action. The knowledge where to start, what to do, keep things moving, and how to follow through adds to their success and achievements. The third thing what we understand by the management, that is the management is an activity like reading and swimming. Management is an activity and not a person or a group. The performers of this activity are termed as managers, members of management, or executive leaders. It is distinct activity in the sense because it can be studied. Knowledge about it can be obtained. Skill in its application can be acquired. You should get tasks accomplished by, with, and through the efforts of group members. You should also remember that management is an unseen force whose whose presence is evidenced by the results of its efforts. Then the fourth management issue is management labels and skills. You see in tourism now, in starting from the very grassroots to the higher level of management, The level of skills are essentials. It is required for every level. All the levels are having different skills. The term manager is generally used for one who is responsible for carrying out the management functions of planning, organizing, reading, leading, and controlling. A manager is also responsible for subordinates and other organizational resources. But you must note that there are different types of managers in all levels with varied tasks and responsibilities to perform. For example, in a hotel, you may be a front office manager. You may also be a restaurant manager or food and beverage manager. You may be a finance manager or you may be a general manager. So on. This demonstrates that in every level there are different types of managers. So it requires, according to their levels, it requires different range of activities in the same organization also. Similarly, for each level or range, certain skills are required. So let us see that the first level as managers from top to bottom, the first level managers are in the top, and the middle level managers, the first level managers who are in the top, they give their directions to the middle level managers, and there are three levels: top level, middle level, and first level. In the first level, you have, that is the entry level of managers. So from the top level, it comes to the middle level, and from the middle level, it comes to the first level, which is the entry level, which is the ground level of managers. Then we shall discuss what are the range of activities. Managers are also classified according to the scope or range of organizational activities they perform. Functional managers are responsible for only one activity they perform in the organization. For example, either operations, marketing, or finance, the activities and people who work under a functional manager are engaged in a similar set of activities. That means under a manager, some people perform at one type of work. Then general manager. General managers are individually responsible for all activities of the unit or the company they head. The number of functional and general manager in an organization may vary according to the size and activities of the organization. Skills, those are very essential in the tourism management because in different types of managers, it requires different types of skills. For example, a finance manager, the skill which is having by him is different from the food and beverage manager or food production manager or front office manager. So different types of skills are required at various managerial levels and their usage also varies. There are different types of skills. The skills are divided into three types: technical skills, human skills, and conceptual skills. Technical skills means ability for using a specialized knowledge, expertise, and techniques in a particular area, in a particular job, in a particular usage of machines. And human skill means the capacity of a manager. to build cooperation within the team as a team leader. Then conceptual skills is the ability to look at the organization as a whole. This also includes recognizing the interdependence of various organizational functions. That too, how finance is responsible for food and beverage, how food and beverage is related to front office. So all these types are the conceptual skills which are related with interdepartmental skills. How it is connected with different departments. So now we'll see what are the managerial roles and tasks and responsibilities. First, we should see what are the managerial roles. What is the role of the manager? That is, the first role is the interpersonal role. These are the relations a manager has with the others inside and outside the organization. These include figurehead. Manager is the figurehead. That means he is the leader of the team. This takes into account like role as symbolic head of the organization. For example, welcoming official visitors and duties of a legal nature. That his first and foremost duty is to welcome the officials, is to welcome the officials. Then the second role, he functions as a leader. He functions as a leader. The manager guides, directs, and motivates subordinates and is accountable for their actions. So here, as a leader of the team, manager has different types of roles. One is guides, he directs, and he motivates. There are three types of roles as a leader of the team. Liaison, the manager, that is the third duty of the managerial role. The manager has to establish linkage. He works like link between the different staffs, relationships, and networks, both inside and outside the organization, which would be useful in the achieving organizational roles. So because of his liaisoning with different staffs, with the higher bosses, it is possible for the success of the team. The next most important role is informational roles. An important aspect of the manager's job is receiving and communicating information. This further includes the following things. First is how to monitor the information. The manager constantly searches for relevant information internally as well as outside the organization. This enables the manager to keep up with more trends and ideas. What is the trend going on? What is the trend going on in the scenario? He should be acquainted with that. So the next one is disseminator. That means he disseminate the informations. That means to transfer the information, to transmit the information. The transmission of information received from outside to internal members and subordinates is another role, because whatever his subordinates will know, first that will be applicable to him. That he must know first, then he will disseminate, then he will transform. then he will transmit the information to the subordinates. Then he is a spokesperson. A manager also speaks on behalf of his or unit or her unit or organization. Then the next important role is decision making roles. This is the most important role for the manager, that is decision making. So, because that is the very sensitive role, because a manager performs the role of an entrepreneur by initiating change, whatever change, that is only possible because of the manager. So he acts as an entrepreneur. He acts as an entrepreneur because as an entrepreneur, he will have to take the decision. Then the disturbance handler. He is the disturbance handler or the game changer. A manager is expected to solve problems and handle disturbances in the organization. Among the inmates, his first and foremost role in decision making is to handle the disturbances. Then resource allocator, that means fund allocator. The resources of an organization are always limited because the funds are always limited. A manager makes best use of them to achieve the stated goal and accordingly allocated them because these resources are always limited. In every organization there is a budget. In every organization there is a budget. So as per the budget, it is the prime duty of the manager to allocate the resources. Then negotiator. He negotiates between both insiders and as well as outsiders. Then let us discuss about the task. What are the tasks are performed by the manager? The number one task is the prime thing, his performance. His first task is to see the perform of his team and himself, provide meaningful directions to the company in the organization, maintain efficiency for profit generation, because the sole aim of any organization is to make profit, meets the dealings of increasing competitions. So, meets the dealings and challenges. What are the challenges in the scenario, in the competition scenario? Motivate the subordinates. He motivates the subordinates, attempts to retain the name of the company, inculcates a sense of loyalty among the employees. Unless there be sense of loyalty, it is not possible to promote the organization. Keeps in mind the interest and welfare of employees in order to gain their confidence, and as a leader demarcates his or leadership activities. That means in his team, who is a good worker, who is a bad worker, all these are demarcated by him, maintains a balance between developing new ideas and translating them into successful business. takes initiative for the upgradation of skills and constant training of the employees and keeps oneself updated on information. So these are the tasks of the manager. Now let us discuss what are the responsibilities. What are the responsibilities of a manager has? The first and foremost responsibility in a service industry like tourism, the first and foremost duty is customer satisfaction because the customer is God for him. In the tourist sector, the tourism activities is always an interaction between the guest and the host. The guest is God for him. The guest is God. That is why this is a service industry. Hence, a manager must be responsible towards the customers regarding their needs, concerns, quality of the product, etc. In case of a company or a firm, a management is also possible because it is only for the employees. In a case of a company or a firm, a manager is also responsible towards the employees by ensuring their salaries, provident fund, etc. Because everybody is coming to work for money. Because they should be paid money or salary at the right time. Wherever, however it may be, let us say monthly salary, at the right time he must be paid. Like this. A manager is also responsible towards the suppliers whose products are being used by the company. For example, you will depend on the suppliers for regular supplies of a specified quality and at an agreed price. In return, it is your responsibilities as manager to assure timely payments to the suppliers. Similarly, a manager is also responsible towards the distributors and retailers in terms of quality, time supplies, etc. Because it is a negotiable act like this because the supplier will supply the thing and the person who receives, he must check up the quality, what the supplier has supplied. Then it is the responsibility of the manager to ensure that the operations of the company are within the legal framework. So whatever the laws of the land that must be applicable and that must be within the norms of the rules of the government. That means the existing laws framed by the government that must be carried out. This is regarding also it includes the like the payment of taxes, duties, etc. on time because it should avoid penalties. Today, the manager is also responsible towards the society, and this is a vast area of the responsibility, which is known as corporate social responsibility. Because a manager is also responsible towards the society. That is known as corporate social responsibility. And this is a vast area of responsibility. For example, you should take into account that the actions, operations of your company, the environment is not damaged, or religious sentiments are not hurt, etc. That means in the local society, He should also admire the sentiments of the general people at the same time, because that is in all set up now in the society, that is a sensitive issue. That is a very sensitive issue. So now discuss now we shall discuss about work patterns. What is the pattern of the manager? As has been mentioned earlier, there are different levels of manager who perform different tasks in their jobs. Just as we have seen the first level managers, the middle level managers, the top level managers. The first level managers, they supply information to the middle level also to the top level. The flow of information like this. Like the same, what is coming from the top manager also should give to the middle level, and the middle level also give to the ground level, that is the first level of managers. At the same time, you should also try to understand the pattern of managerial working, which again may vary as per the levels that I have already told you. There are certain things which you can schedule, but there are responsibilities in time frame. There are certain things which you can schedule, but there are situations when you have to go for unscheduled meetings or attended to telephone calls or face unanticipated problems, because everything will not go as per this scheduled program. So there may be variations. So you will work as per the situation, as per the time frame, time time frame. Then what are the functions of the management? As mentioned earlier, management functions include planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. One should not say that it is not necessary for a manager to be equally concerned about all these at a time. Depending upon the nature of the job or the level of the manager, concern and involvement for each may vary, and yet all managers have to be concerned with the different type of functions. So the first one is planning. Planning to Planning is central to managing, for it is through the one planning only that one decides in advance what is to be done. Because every manager should plan as to what to do first and what is the prime work to perform, what is he has to do first, and what he has to do the next. What is number one activity? What is the number two activity? Like that. So he should make a plan, and series of planning is necessary for him. So planning is a central to managing, for it is through planning only that one decides in advance what is to be done, when and how it is to be done. There are certain steps and stages for planning, and you will read more about planning in Unit 6 of Block 2. Suffice to say here is that for every future activity, growth of the organization, etc., you must go in for planning. In the management, by organizing, we mean grouping together of people and activities in order to work for the achievement of the stated goals of the organization. The span of control, delegation of authority, relationship among the employees, and the staffing patterns, etc., we shall discuss in detail in the unit number 7 of the block 2. One planning, Once planning is done, the structure of the organization determined and the recruitment of employees completed. The time for you now is to make necessary arrangement for moving towards the achievement of the defined goals of the organization, and this management functions has been termed as leading. In certain cases, it is also known as directing or actuating. That means actuating means how the things will be actually done. Irrespective of the term used, it is clear that this management function involves a leading role for the manager in motivating the members of an organization and making them perform in ways that help in achieving the defined goals or objectives of the organization. The role of leading is very crucial for the manager, and for this manager has to be a decision maker, motivator, and trend setter. That means what type of trend is going on now. The, the manager has to decide the trend and to set up the trend as to what is going on now. He may innovate one new one, or he may follow the another one. Then controlling. Controlling involves measuring and correcting the performance of the activities of subordinates so that the defined objectives and the plans devised to m- achieve them move in the right directions. Controlling also require a plan and a clear organization structure. The control process is used for establishing standards, correcting deviations, if any, measuring performance, and establishing standards. We shall discuss this detail in Unit 8 of Block 2. Let us sum up. Management is a distinct process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling, sorry, in order to achieve the stated goals of an organization. There are different levels of managers with a varied range of activities at various managerial levels. Different types of skills are required, like technical, human, and conceptual. A manager has to perform various roles and also has certain tasks and responsibilities to perform. The work patterns of the managers vary, that is that changes as per their levels and job requirements. One must remember here that the management is an integrative task. That is, that means it has relationship with other tasks. That is one integrative task. That means a component task, a composite task that is integrative task, taking into account the functions, roles, tasks, etc. in order to achieve the stated goals of the organizations. Now, we shall shift up to Unit 2, that is entrepreneurship concept and functions. We shall see what are the things in this we will study. We will study the objectives. We will study introduction, what is an entrepreneur and what is its functions. Then entrepreneurial activities, then entrepreneurial process, identifying the opportunities, assessing the market, then resource mobilization, other considerations, then first of all we'll go to the objectives. So after reading this unit, you will be able to understand the concept of entrepreneurship. What is an entrepreneur? Let us think for that. What is one entrepreneur? Entrepreneur means who does a new business with new products. Entrepreneur is a businessman, but it should innovate new business and the product should be new one. So understanding the concept of entrepreneurship, know about the qualities of an entrepreneur, familiarize yourself with the process of establishing an enterprise, learn about the factors that contribute towards a successful enterprise, and know the know the importance of entrepreneurship in tourism. In tourism, how a person can be an entrepreneur. In tourism, how he will develop new things and make one business out of those new products. So let us see what is then entrepreneurship. Let us discuss small and medium enterprises play a crucial role in economic growth and development because in the high businesses are done by the moneyed man, the rich men, but small and medium enterprises are always done by the budget people, by the economic people. Most of the new job opportunities are coming through small and medium enterprises, particularly in the service sector. This is a growing recognition of their contribution in raising productivity, and the entrepreneurs are contributing in the promotion of innovative services, products, or technology. I have already told you that entrepreneur means you should innovate certain new ideas by which you can do new businesses. So to innovate one new idea and to deal with that new products. So that is the entrepreneurship. There is a growing recognition of their contribution in raising productivity, and the entrepreneurs are contributing in the promotion of innovative services, products, or technology. So in tourism, always it is better to innovate new services. The role of SME or small and medium enterprises becomes a more significant in the case of tourism industry because of its very nature, that is being a service industry, because tourism is a service industry. Tourism is a service industry. For example, leaving aside a few big companies, most of the tour operators or travel agencies come under the category of SME, that is small and medium enterprises. The same is true of the accommodation sector in India and so on. At most of the destinations, that means already developed or in various stages of development. Members of the local population strive to set up their own small business or enterprise for providing services to the tourists. In such cases, the capital investment are low and infrastructural requirements are less. Yet the entrepreneurial spirit is quite high and direct linkages are established with the local economy. However, the success, growth, and sustenance of enterprise will depend on managerial qualities that I have already discussed in the last unit, that is managerial qualities, because it depends on whole on the managerial qualities. Applications of management skills and service orientation. One must have a very good service orientation if he wants to have a job or have a profession in the service sector like tourism. You must remember that in your own enterprise, the functions of an owner as well as that of a manager are performed by you only, because as a manager, as a leader of the team, you will have to perform the activities. There is hardly any gap between the decision making and action, because you will decide and you will activate. It is you who will decide and who will perform. The same man, how competently you integrate and exercise these dual functions determines the pace of your success or failure. In this unit, we familiarize you with different aspects of entrepreneurship. These include the skills and qualities required in an entrepreneur, along with the process that an entrepreneur undergoes to perform certain functions. These might be of help to you in case you intend to set up your own enterprise and work for its success. Then let us see then let us see what are the entrepreneurial qualities. What are the entrepreneurial qualities? Well, to begin with, you must remember that an entrepreneur is a combination of both a thinker and a doer. That means he does and he thinks. Someone who perceives an opportunity and creates an organization to pursue it, one who assimilates the ideas, resources, and organization for creating and pursuing a new venture is an entrepreneur. The entrepreneurial process involves all the functions, activities, and actions linked with perceiving an opportunity and creating an organization to pursue them. You must remember that a person engaged in a small business may or may not be an entrepreneur, may not be an entrepreneur. So, for a small business to be considered as an entrepreneurial effort, it must be characterized by introducing of a new product or service, or there must be something different, inventive, or innovative about the business venture. I have already told you that the main introduction of the entrepreneur is to innovate new ideas and to involve himself with new business. So that is the first and foremost, that is the first and foremost introduction of an entrepreneur. You will be able to demonstrate your entrepreneurial spirit if you are willing to take up challenges, because to evolve new things, you will have to take up challenges. Desiring to create a new venture and hoping to be master of your own future. When he starts a new venture, he will be the master of his own future. But you must evaluate your own self vis-a-vis entrepreneurial qualities. Some of the questions you can ask. You can ask yourself, because these questions are required to be answered with. You can ask yourself these questions. Can I sense an opportunity? Do I have the confidence to take the risk? Can I take the initiative? Is it possible for me to mobilize resources? Do I have the capacity to plan, organizing, implement, and pursue? These are the important activities of an entrepreneur who can ask all these questions to himself, and the answer he can get out of that. So, entrepreneurial success depends on the management of your own self, because if you will answer all these questions, you can be a very good entrepreneur. For this, you require certain traits, certain qualities, or behavioral competencies. Then let us discuss what are those one by one. The number one is risk taking. As an entrepreneur, you will have to take risks. Not all have the capacity to do this, but an entrepreneur succeed not wildly but in a calculated way. In order to develop your capacity to take risks, you ought to be an optimist. That means you should be optimistic. You should be very positive, hoping for success. Further, hurdles in the way are to be crossed, not to be afraid of, because there will be hurdles. You will get many hurdles, but you have to cross the hurdles. Failure should not unnerve you to withdraw. You should not be harassed so that you will withdraw. They ought to be taken as feedback to reassess and change. You ought to objectively analyze the situation and develop self confidence. These are the basic things of risk taking. Then the second one is self starting. How you will start the entrepreneurship, creative creativity and innovativeness. As an entrepreneur, you start a venture under your own authority, using your ideas and energy as justifications. The new ideas that you pick up are to be quickly operationalized. To pick ideas, you have to be imaginative, using intuition and observation. In an industry, in an industry like tourism, the attractions of the product or service is to be always there. Hence, you should always have the sense for identifying or improving the product or service. You have to be creative and innovative. Besides, you will have to explore new strategies for marketing your products or service, or you might have to add new attributes to them. That means you should change the qualities of them. You have to experiment with new ideas, and there will always be a certain amount of uncertainty linked with their implementation. You should have the capacity to face this with readiness. Then the third one is initiative. An entrepreneur, an entrepreneur quality, initiative is an entrepreneurial quality. As an entrepreneur, you don't pick ideas only today to dream about them or to build castles in the air. That means which things you cannot do, you should not think of or you should not take up as an entrepreneur. You take the initiative to operationalize them. This you do independently without waiting for orders or instructions. You set your own goals, directions, and guidelines. Information seeking. Then, fourth quality of an entrepreneur is information seeking. As an entrepreneur, you have to update your knowledge. For this, you have to seek information from a variety of sources. For example, you would like to know about the financial institutions, their rules and interest rates, etc., to decide where to borrow from. That from where you can receive the ideas, you can borrow the ideas. Similarly, you must know about your competitors in business, the strength or weakness of their products, etc. In fact, obtaining and using information has a bearing on your growth and success. That means getting more and more information and obtaining information, you can grow. You can seek information through various means. What are those means? Let us see how you can get different types of information. Number one, do personal research. Always you do research work. You should do always research. Then observe what is going on. What is going around you, you should observe that. And always consult the experts, etc. Always be in the contact of experts. Then the next quality of an entrepreneur is problem solving. This is the fifth quality. You must start with the assumption that there will be problem, because always there will be problems are everywhere. Problems are everywhere. Where there is no problem, everywhere there is problem. At the same time, you must have the confidence that you can solve them. You must keep in mind, if any problem will come, you will solve them. This does not mean that you solve them by yourself only. You can always look for such resources which can help you accept the problems as something normal, maintain your control, and devise strategies. Chances are you might come up with more than one solution. Hence, again, you will depend on your own judgment and caliber of risk taking regarding the decision about which solution to apply. For any problem, there may be having many decisions. There will be having multifarious decisions. But it is you who have to accept which decision and what not to accept. It is you who have to decide what to get and what not to get. Here again, you will depend on your own judgment and caliber for risk taking as to what decision is really applicable for your problem. Then the sixth quality of entrepreneur is quality assurance and monitoring. The success of entrepreneur will depend on the quality of the product or service. For this, you must set up some standards. To maintain those standards, constant monitoring is necessary. Constant monitoring is necessary. Besides, these certain other entrepreneurial competencies include faith in systematic planning and having pursuance skills and convincing, influencing abilities, etc. Then let us discuss the entrepreneurial process. Then what is the entrepreneurial process? Let us discuss the entrepreneurial process. In the entrepreneurial function, both the individual as well as the environment are equally important. For example, a person may be fully qualified, the idea excellent, and the new product or service offered, but in case the conditions are wrong or the context, context is misappropriate, the possibilities will remain largely underdeveloped. Hence, the four components under the four C's theory of entrepreneurship include, there are four C's: to find out the entrepreneurship process or entrepreneurial process. First is characteristics, that is psychological traits. Psychological traits is completely connected with the mind. Completely connected with the mind. Then competencies. What are the skills he is using? Then conditions, that is in family, farm, or community. Context, environmental factors. It is not just that these components be present, but it is their simultaneous interactions also that needs to be looked into to gauge the labels of entrepreneurial activity. That means to gauge the labels, to measure the labels of entrepreneurial activity. If the placement of these components is towards the positive side, the level of activity will be higher, whereas a negative placement would keep the label on the lower side. Because if an entrepreneur will be positive, if he thinks in a positive way, he will definitely be successful. If he will think in a negative way, the chance of success is lowered. The chance of success is lowered. You must also remember that getting an idea for a new business is not just enough. It has to be pursued, and this pursuance, besides the personal attributes, depends on a variety of factors that can be termed as environmental variables. Those are environmental variables. That means those environment changes. These could be economic factors or social factors, or maybe both. It may be both of them, both economic and social factors. Economic factors include market incentives and sufficient stock of capital. Then social factors take into account customs, cultural values, family environment, etc. Besides these, the government policies, rules and regulations also have a bearing on the environmental process, because the entrepreneurial process is also controlled by government policies, rules, and regulations. In the subsequent sections, we will discuss about the relevant stages of establishing a small scale enterprise. Now, we will try to identify the opportunities. How we will identify the opportunity to be a good entrepreneur? We will find out the opportunities. Let us see how to identify the opportunities. Let us see. When you wish to set up an enterprise, you have to identify an opportunity, because without opportunity you cannot process the entrepreneurial skill. This process is referred to as opportunity scanning or sensing and identification. Every enterprise starts when an opportunity is identified, opportunity is defined, opportunity is assessed. That means one opportunity is located, is identified, is defined, is assessed. In other words, we can say that after identifying the business opportunity, an entrepreneur establishes an enterprise and then manages whether it is profit generation or not. We will find out whether it is possible to generate profit or not. It is not easy to define how an entrepreneur identifies an opportunity. The National Council of Applied Economic Research, NCAER, conducted a survey on the structure and promotion of small scale industries in India, with a view of drawing lessons for future development. The survey, the survey probed existing the existing entrepreneurs as to what motivated them for establishing their enterprise. So, how the successful entrepreneurs are become, there was a probe was there. One assessment was there. So, what is the assessment? Let us see. What is the coming out of the study? Let us see. 34.5% because of the previous experience and interest in the industry. 22.5% because of the desire to be self-employed. 12.3% because the family was in the same business. 11.7% because they wanted to make a livelihood from an industrial enterprise, and 10.5% because they saw the growth potential in the industry. Well, besides the findings of the survey, entrepreneurs have selected procedures or services which have a good demand in the market, so high profitability, provide missing links in the business chain, have specific advantages available in them, incentive, reservation, etc. In a developing industry like tourism, there is no dearth of entrepreneurial opportunities. That means there are many entrepreneurial opportunities in tourism industry. However, one has to be a keen observer of the customers' tastes, needs, and choices. Full profiling of the tourist and the intermediary intermediary agencies has to be taken into account. However, you should remember here that instead of keeping short-term profits in mind, you should contribute towards the growth of responsible tourism and eco-friendly tourism. Eco-friendly tourism means nature tourism. And the area itself today provides many opportunities. Let us see the following examples. JD realized that a number of visitors to a wildlife sanctuary might not be attracted to a tribal village, only looking to a tribal village, but might like to share the experience of tribal life because people also visit the natural areas to see the tribal life. He mobilized resources to construct a tribal village called the Spice Village, employed local tribals, and afford accommodation and local cuisine. The complex is a prime tourist attraction. So that tribal village, what he constructed was a prime tourism attraction because he not only provided tribal setup, he also provided the tribal cuisine, tribal food. Tribal food is a very much attraction for the tourists. That what the tribals take, tribals eat. That is the main attraction. Then, looking at the success of heritage hotels, many owners of small Havelis in Rajasthan, because Rajasthan is a state in India where there are Havelis, where are the palaces, heritage hotels, started equipping them for the tourists and are doing good business today. People are of other states have followed the same pattern. Entertainment in the evenings in something lacking for the tourists. Mrs. K rented a farmhouse. She started a kitchen and also arranged folk dances and music in the night. She established links with some tour operators who put up a night at the farmhouse in the package. They sold the tourists. Her business has picked up. That means to add to the attraction, you can arrange for folk dances. The local dances, you can make arrangements. The local people, they have various dance forms. So you can pick up the dance forms. Entertainment in the evening is very much required. So Mrs. K rented the farmhouse, and whatever the tourists came to that place, he gave on he gave the new forms of entertainment, that is folk dances. KK had at a social gathering that the Department of Tourism was developing a special tourism promotion plan in Japan. He picked up more information in the travel trade circle. He was aware that there was at least a year's time for the promotion campaign to take off and another 6 months for results, because promotion campaign it requires a year and 6 months for the results. He started learning Japanese as he had an aptitude for learning languages. Simultaneously, he learned the skills required to be an escort, how to be a guide, how to be an escort. He learned the different languages. Japanese, how one is out of them. Today, he freelances and is most sought after tour escort. Now he is toying with the idea of opening an agency to provide escort services only. Now he has opened an agency to provide escort services because he has a liking to learn different languages and to utilize them. Then we have already discussed about 4 examples, and the 4 examples are different one from other. One is meant for the wildlife, another is for heritage hotels, and next one is folk dances, and next one is the escort services. So there are 4 new entrepreneurial processes. In each example, the situation was different. In the first case, JD used his own imagination. In the second case, the idea was picked up from a train, that is Heritage Hotel. In the third case, the idea generated from observation and experiences, resulting in creating a new attraction. In the fourth case, KK, who was looking for an opportunity, was also keeping his ears and eyes open. He sensed an opportunity and picked up the skills. Yet there are situations when people are motivated through intensive campaigns. For example, to meet the accommodation problems, the Department of Tourism motivated people to start paying guest accommodation and offered certain incentives. In some areas, people were given training in housekeeping, they were given financial assistance and even construction designs in case they wanted to add a room. So this is the idea given by the Department of Tourism. This brings in another aspect that right at the opportunity scanning stage itself, a person needs assistance, consultancy, and dependable information. This the person requires not only for the scanning of environment, but also to assess one's own strength and weaknesses along with the would-be threats. In management language, this is named as SWOT analysis. SWOT, that is SWOT analysis. Every letter stands for a word. S. S stands for strength. W, well, weaknesses, O, opportunities, and T, threats. These four words are the strengths and weaknesses. As entrepreneurs should analyze the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in the process of converting a potential opportunity into the opportunity. Assessing the market. The next one topic, we should assess the market. While identifying the product or service, a new entrepreneur has to look for the market potential and growth prospects. Entrepreneurs need a distinctive competence, that is entrepreneurial desire to begin a business, coupled with ability or experience to compete effectively. This means that one should have the market analysis and the managerial ability to perform, to outperform the competitors. That means to go ahead of the performers. In the NCAER survey, 3 out of 4 entrepreneurs have chosen the product as it was marketable and had potential demand. In TS Block 6, we have already familiarized with, with different aspects related to tourist marketing along with the characteristics of tourism product. Hence, you must once again read Unit 2 and 2 and Unit and 2.1 of the course and relate them in the context of entrepreneurship. Market assessment exercise is necessary to answer questions like why market assessment is necessary. Market assessment is necessary because of the following things. That is, whether the product or service being offered will have a sufficient demand or not, then who would buy? Who would they buy? How many would buy? In management jargon, this is called market demand analysis. At the same time, in the case of a new different tourism product or services, there are always the possibilities of creating a demand directly among the tourists or through the intermediaries. But again, this will be through adopting certain marketing techniques. Analyzing the competitive situation is another important aspect which an entrepreneur must take into account right at the initial stages. Then we'll see market demand analysis. What is market demand analysis? Market demand analysis itself gives an idea about the consistent competition in the market and the market share of each competitor. In fact, a competitive situation analysis helps you in designing your product. For example, you want to open a restaurant, but there are already many restaurants doing flourishing business. What do you do? Well, you may take the following steps. You may take the following steps. First step. What is the first step? Find out how many restaurants are there in the vicinity where you want to start your business. Visit them as a customer. Assess their menu and environment. Look at the service time. Test the dishes. Check the prices and any added attractions they have. Also observe whether the other customers have satisfied expressions or not, etc. This will enable you to understand the strength and weaknesses of the competitors. Accordingly, you can decide what unique attraction or qualities you can offer in your restaurants. So now we are discussing how to assess the market. You must remember here that once a product gets going, many more entrepreneurs enter the field to produce the same product. Particularly in the case of a tourism product, the small entrepreneurs compete with each other. Hence, you should always be open to adding more attractions to your product. Another necessary component is understanding the trade practices and linkages. There is a long line of intermediaries in the tourism sector, and one has to take into account. Then let us discuss what are the intermediaries. Those are discounts, commissions, credit terms, legal implications, infrastructural facilities, market image, and market reach of the intermediaries one is dealing with, etc. Realistic market assessment of the type mentioned above able to entrepreneur in establishing a new business. Now discuss about the research mobilization. Resource mobilization. An entrepreneur, besides having the idea, has also to mobilize different resources for establishing the business. In this section, we briefly deal with some of the essential resources that have to be mobilized. That has to be mobilized. Finance, the number one resource mobilization is finance. Financial inputs and planning are necessary for setting and running any enterprise. In this regard, you need initial funds to set an enterprise, working capital to run the enterprise. In setting up an enterprise, your own funds play a major role. Obtaining funds from relations and friends and loans from financial institutions are other modes of generating the initial capital. Similarly, as profit take time to come, an entrepreneur has also to raise working capital, and for this again, the modes, the modes mentioned above are relied upon. That means You can take funds from the financial institutions to raise your capital. In block 4 of this course, we have dealt in detail with financial planning and the management of finance. Suffice it to mention the following aspects. An entrepreneur should go for financial forecast, which include estimates about capital requirements, working capital requirements, capital structure, that is debt equity ratio, credit policy, and contingencies. An entrepreneur should be aware of sources of finance, for example, own capital, banks, borrowing from friends, relatives, and others, term loans from financial institutions, and personal loans on assets like national saving certificates, insurance policy, provident fund, etc. When it is found that an entrepreneur has been able to raise initial funds but faces acute shortage of working capital, the best thing for an entrepreneur to do is to take the advice of a financial consultant in this regard. However, you must take into account the following aspects when you are arranging funds. So, when you are arranging funds, you should take the following examples. Arranging funds. So, often it is found that an entrepreneur has been able to raise initial funds but faces acute shortage of working capital. The best thing for an entrepreneur to do is to take the advice of financial consultant or any financial consultant. While arranging funds, the following things should be taken into the mind. Then what are the things you should take into mind? Interest rate on borrowings, time required in obtaining such finance as processing loan application takes time, duration for which funds are required, say 6 months, a year, or more. That how much duration it takes. Your repayment capacity and conditions stipulated by the lenders of funds. What are the conditions taken by the vendors? As an entrepreneur, you should not get disheartened if helpful attitude or friendly environment is missing while dealing with financial institutions. Instead of accepting defeat, you must keep pursuing and try to remember never put up, never put forth exaggerated claims. Then manpower requirements. To conduct your business, you need appropriate manpower at the right time, in the right manner, with the right skills. For this, you should make an inventory of the required manpower on different levels and for different jobs. Then, then what are the steps now you will take? decide on their qualification and skills, because what type of work they will do, you will engage them as per the qualifications and skills they have. Decide on the kind of induction training you would give to those who join you. Equip yourself with the knowledge of labor laws and regulations. Equip them with labor laws. You should make them understand the labor laws. Okay? You should make them understand the labor laws. Devise recruitment policy and wage structure and have a future manpower plan, etc. Then we will see the technology. The next one is the technology. The type of technology to be used is again to be decided at the initial stage. This has a bearing on designing the product as well as deciding as well as deciding on manpower planning and finances. That means what much finance required. We are dealing with the entrepreneurial concepts and functions. So, would you require machines? What kind of energy would you use? Would you like to use computers? Then the cost effective, which computer make and brand you like to buy, are all relevant questions in your decision making process. You must realize that in many segments of tourism like accommodation, travel agency, tour operators, etc., technology is playing a major role in business operations. Tourism, everywhere in tourism, you will require skilled technologies and strictly machines and manpower. Then we'll deal with the other considerations while we understand about entrepreneurship and management. Then what are the other considerations we would like to have? There are certain other considerations which the entrepreneur has to take into account while making the entrepreneurial plans. Location. That means an entrepreneur has to take the crucial decision regarding the location of the enterprise. Some of the factors which influence this decision are personal factors like family conditions, individual likes or preferences, etc. Sorry. Geographical conditions, competitions in the area, market conditions, availability of manpower resources and raw materials, local laws, tax structures, and regulations. Attitude of the local community or the host community or the host population. Environmental factors, cultural values and customs, political stability, peaceful atmosphere and accessibility, etc. You have to evaluate the location, keeping the above factors in view and relating them with your experiences. Sorry. Organizational structure. An entrepreneur has to decide on the nature and structure of the organization. As the ownership level, the decision would be whether to go for sole proprietorship or partnership, etc. Simultaneously, a decision regarding the structural aspect, that is whether it should be hierarchical or not, is also needed. In the tourism sector, an entrepreneur must also take into account his or her responsibility towards the destination, most population and host population and environment. A friendly and healthy approach in this will serve the interests of both the locals as well as the entrepreneur. After all these considerations, the entrepreneur should develop a project report or the business plan or get it developed. This is a descriptive document with operational details, mission statement, cost analysis, and implementation schedule, etc. It is not only the blueprint of the organizational aims and activities, but an essential document needed for arranging finance, developing cost and profit estimates, resource planning, and feasibility testing. So let us sum up. In this unit, we attempted to give up an idea about in this unit, we have given you an idea about the characteristics of an entrepreneur and the process of entrepreneurship. These are simple opportunities for those planning to enter the tourism sector. You have these opportunities right in your own location if your area is a tourist destination. But use these opportunities, you ought to have entrepreneurial qualities and must be familiar with the entrepreneurial process. It is essential that you have a professional approach with an understanding of management concepts and functions. Environmental cautiousness, respect for local customs, involvement of local population and job opportunities for them will add to your success. Here you must take note of the various government schemes for motivating, financing, and training entrepreneurs and make use of them. So we have studied today regarding the tourism management concept. What are the tourism management and what is an entrepreneur? Then how to be an entrepreneur, how to assess the market, what is the entrepreneurial process, what is the management function, how to identify the opportunities, how to assess the market, how to mobilize the resources, and what are the considerations regarding them. So we are all about the tourism concept. First of all, we have already read who are the managers. We have already read there are three types of managers: top level managers, middle level managers, and first level managers. How the management information passes. What is the role of the manager? How he is dealing with the company? What are the responsibilities of the company? We have already dealt with that. So these are the things we have already read today. And myself, I am BB Rath. I have forgotten to introduce myself to you because you have joined later. So myself, BB Roth, B for Botswana and B for British, Roth, RATH. I am a senior faculty in tourism. Okay. So with this, we can end up this today's topic, and we will meet again at 3:30 tomorrow. Thank you very much.